All right, so as we start doing more of these videos, we just want to put a little disclaimer at the beginning that everybody has different bodies, everybody's different body proportions, so great form for you may not look exactly the same as great form for somebody else. So just try to keep that in mind and try not to compare yourself to somebody else when you're thinking about all of these things that we're talking about. Today we're going to talk about bicep curls. So bicep curls are an isolation exercise, which means we are isolating one very specific muscle here, as opposed to, for example, a bench press where we're recruiting all kinds of different muscles towards that movement. So because of that, a bicep curl is not one of those movements that you're going to look to consistently increase your weight on the same way we would with a bench press. And in fact, in a lot of cases, you're going to be better off going with actually a little bit less weight and trying to make sure that you can get a solid 8, 10, 12 reps in a row. So just as a kind of comparison for that, in the last, we'll say like 2 years, I've added maybe 30 pounds to my bench press weight. However, I'm still using the exact same weight for my bicep curls every time I do bicep curls as I was 2 years ago. So when you're approaching your sets here, the first couple of reps are probably not going to be super challenging. That's a good thing. We want to really pay attention to how reps like 7, 8, 9, 10 feel. Those are the ones that you want to actually feel hard. So let's talk about proper form here first. So there's all kinds of different variations of bicep curls. We're just talking about a straight, regular old dumbbell bicep curl. So we're going to start with palms facing out, arms are straight at the bottom. What we're going to do is tighten up the core a little bit. We're going to keep the torso nice and steady. We're going to keep the elbows nice and steady. We're going to pull those weights up towards the front of the shoulders. So let's do one from the side here as well. So you can see, again, torso's nice and steady, elbows are nice and steady. We're just curling those weights up towards the shoulders, lowering them back down to that same start position with control and repeat. So a couple of common mistakes that we see with these. First one would be swinging your arms back to get a little bit of momentum before you start your lift. So again, we pretty much never want the elbows to go behind the body. We want them to stay nice and stable, not using our shoulders to actually get momentum from our arms from that swing. Second mistake would be not coming all the way down straight at the bottom. So just kind of stopping partway, shortening your range of motion to make the lift easier. So one thing that you can do that will actually potentially help with both of those issues is adding yourself a quick little pause at the bottom before you go into that next rep. And then another common mistake that we see is kind of arching the back and shooting the hips forward to get that rep going. And so a good thing that you can do here is if you are finding this is an issue for you, you can actually come into a bit of a split stance. Instead of standing with your feet both together, come into a split stance, and that will just help force you into a tighter position. So if you find that you're making any of these mistakes with your bicep curls, it's a good sign that you maybe want to lower the weights a little bit and try to move through your reps with a little more control. And again, just remember this is an isolation exercise. You're going to be better off going with a little bit lower weight and getting more reps in your sets. That's it. You can dance around with them at the end if you want.